New Orlean Saints travelling to Jameis' Carolina Panthers. For me, I heavily backed the Saints, and I now regret that a week later. I also believe I said that Alvin Kamara would show McCaffrey what a real running back is. Turned out to be the other way around. Alvin Kamara, bit of a stinker. Bit of a stinker for fantasy as well. He had 8 receptions for a total of 5 yards. Yeah, shocker. McCaffrey, on the other hand, 72 yards, 1 touchdown, a relatively decent performance. Still, though, with them sort of yardages, it does show sort of how strong the running defenses are. I mean, McCaffrey to have sort of 24, 25 carries to only get 72 yards, it does. This is one of the positives I can give to the Saints, despite the scoreline of 26-7, was that they kind of stopped McCaffrey from getting huge yardage, sort of with an average of 2 or 3 across the 25 attempts. But yeah, unfortunately, that is the only positive I can give the Saints. It was a good start from the Panthers. Who got more action on red zone in the opening 3 minutes than they did in about 2 hours against the Jets.
So, yeah, very true.
So you know it was an improvement. Darnold found Brandon Silstra. And then the Panthers sort of dominated Jameis, Winston. As I believe Jamie said last week, he backed his own team. Fair play to him. He also said that Jameis Winston...
Well, this is the funny thing, sorry to interrupt, Brad, is that he backed him on in terms of the stats about Jameis Winston, but he did say that he went for a Saints win. It was myself who backed the Panthers at home. I thought first home game, first time crowd in Carolina for a long time. I just had a good feeling about them. But yeah. Jamie was right what he said about Jameis Winston, certainly.
Yeah, he said obviously that it's impossible for sort of Jameis Winston to have back-to-back good, consistent game weeks. And it proved, because the Panthers took a 17-0 lead. And then the Panthers the Saints just struggled really from there. And they got a touchdown in the end through Winston himself. But it proved to be kind of easy for the Panthers in the end. The Saints never really got going. Alvin Kamara, obviously, as I mentioned, with a total of 5 rushing yards, never got going. Winston, 50% of his completions, 11 out of 22, 2 interceptions. Darnold, miles better, 2 passing touchdowns and total of 305 passing yards. And Panthers, again, they're one of them teams like the Broncos, kind of struggled last season, but in the early stages, showing very positive signs.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, they've got the Houston Texans in week 3 on Thursday Night Football, which we'll be covering shortly, about how Houston got on and whether the Panthers could amazingly go 3-0. But just a quick talking point on this one, Brad. I don't know if you think this is a real major factor, or if this is just the Saints media and fan base making excuses. Of course, the majority of the coaching staff were unable to be anywhere near the game due to, say, a combination of like positive COVID tests or being in contact with someone with COVID-19. Of course, we know that despite what's going on and how the situation has improved compared to last year, this is still going to be a big issue in the National Football League, like across all sports throughout the season. I mean, is that an excuse, Brad? I mean, they still would have had the full week to prepare.
Yeah. I mean, depends on, obviously they do sort of testing before the game day, so there might have been a few last minute changes, but still, you've got to go into practice firing and having these backup plans, and unfortunately the Saints didn't.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. I mean, I can't use that excuse. Yeah, of course it does unsettle things, but they would have planned for this game all week. It's pretty much as soon as the game's finished the previous week, after they absolutely dispatched the Green Bay Packers. This is the same Saints team that won 38-3 against Aaron Rodgers' Green Bay Packers the week earlier. So not that much has changed, really. You prepare for the game the same way. You watch the films, you see the team's strengths, you see the team's weaknesses, and you prepare that way. You may have like a day off recovery, but apart from that, you hit the practice field Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So the Saints were just poor. The Panthers were just more organised defensively, offensively. And I believe that what suited the Panthers, they were efficient with the ball. But also, I think that by isolating Alvin Kamara, you're relying on Jameis Winston more. And this is what cost him at his days as the Bucks quarterback, like pre-Tom Brady, was that the Bucks in the past were entertaining, but almost for the wrong reasons, because Winston would launch it for the full 4 quarters. The odd throw would be spectacular, but then a lot of them would be very ordinary throws. So it is that performance, I think very concerning. And the Panthers defense is one of the best performing so far. The Saints are coming up against the New England defense in New England that don't give much away, as we've seen from the first 2 game weeks. So the Saints have got to be a lot more organised if they're going to get a result in Foxborough. They can't play like this again, can they? Anytime soon.
No. I think it's one of them where the Saints, they'll prove, as they proved sort of last season at home, obviously at the Dome when they can get there, they'll be strong at home. They'll have a few results on the road, but they won't be spectacular on the road.
And if they're a team that historically gets us deep into the NFC playoffs, then fade. And that was even with Drew Brees. Now, of course, Jameis Winston, who's not exactly got that playoff pedigree himself. So it'll be interesting at the Saints, because this is probably the ironic thing, is that you would have, if you gave them the 2 teams week 1 and 2, they said Brees would have been 1-1, but the other way around, it would have been Green Bay that beat them, and they would have beaten Carolina. But it shows you how unpredictable the NFL is.
Definitely.
So